Fuck the posers. Fuck the PC. Fuck the cancel culture. Fuck it all.
Welcome to the Riff Crew. I'm your host, Steve Mitchell, back for another big episode here on The Realm. And joining me, as always, is the man who lives for music. Skull, how you doing, mate?
Doing good, man. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen in Cyberland. As you know, this is Skull, broadcasting from the past, present, and future in the Chamber of the Cosmos. Here with my good friend Steve Oz from Ozland. I'm an on-again, off-again DC bomb rock band Black Manta. I've been in the scene for a long time. I also worked at the Smithsonian for 20 years, and so I've incorporated my love and passion for history with my love and passion for music. So, as usual, I'm really excited to be here. We have a special guest with us here today, one of the forerunners of the new wave of British heavy metal movement, singer, bass player from Raven, John Gallagher. Good to have you with us, man.
I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
We were just chatting a little bit about how our paths crossed. You used to live in the DC area once upon a time.
Yeah, I was about 10 years or so back. I was living in either Stirling or Ashburn. I'd float around between the two. So, we initially moved down there because our drummer at the time, Joe Hasselvander, we'd visited down from New York and things were actually cheaper at a time down in the DC area. So we moved down, and that didn't last very long, of course. Just as expensive as everywhere else. But
Right.
it had its definitely had its own little scene around there for sure.
Right. Well, we'll chat about that in a little bit, but wanted to start off by talking about you have a new album out. I was taking a look at that. The Can't Take Away the Fire it's cool
Yeah,
stuff, man.
the EP we put out because we kind of knew we were going to have a little longer gestation period on this next album because our drummer Mike Heller, he engineered and recorded the last album at his studio out in Los Angeles. When he moved to Texas, and he's in the middle of fighting for planning permission and all that other nonsense of building a new place. So we kind of knew that was going to be a hassle. So we quickly went in and did 5 brand new songs, and there's I believe 3 live tracks picked from here, there, and everywhere. And it came together really well, and the reaction's been great. So we're happy with it.
Yeah,
So
just you.
sorry,
Go ahead.
is he building just a mixing studio or is it a recording studio?
It's a recording studio. Yeah, because that's his passion. He's played on literally hundreds of projects, playing drums on it. So he had a great setup where he was and really wanted to push the ante on this. And he's been knocked back slightly, but he's working on it. It'll get together, which is
Right.
it's fine in some ways because it just gives us a little longer to continue working on new songs here. We have a nice batch of new material and still a scores of ideas that we're passing around between each other. So we'll just boil that down and get the cream of the crop so we have what we need for the next one. But exciting so far, some great stuff.
Cool.
So
I mean,
assume from the songwriting perspective, like Mike's always remote. How do you work with Mark in terms of putting together songs? Is it all over the internet, or you guys live close to each other and can?
No, he's actually just 10 mile up the road from me, so it's not too bad. But mainly it's internet. He'll send me some riffs, or I'll show him some riffs, and we'll bounce stuff off each other, and put together like a rough demo, and kick that to Mark and Mike, and then Mike will say, this part you've done before, or this part sucks, or you can do better on this, or why don't we try this? And everyone puts their 10 cents in and we redo it. And then, you got 3.0 and 4.0 and 5.0 till infinity, to the point where everyone goes, okay, we've polished this turd as far as it can go. It's blindingly shiny. Is it good? At the end of the day, you bring the best out of the material you can. And then basically at a later point, you'll go back and go, okay, we've got these song ideas here. Which ones really jump out at you, you know? And sometimes, I mean, you can have something that just doesn't appeal, and you'll come back to it a year or two later and go, why didn't we do that? This one's really cool. And it just needs a little change here or there, and it brings it to life. So, you know, you do the best with what you've got, but it has to be something, an initial spark to jump out and then make you take it the rest of the way, you know?
So are you guys going to be touring anytime soon in the States or in the area? Because
We're
I didn't know. I
touring.
thought you were still in the DC area. I was like, maybe you guys might play locally or something.
No, I've been down here for a long time now.
Mm.
We are going to Europe in September. We've got a tour there where we're playing some festivals. We're doing the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Italy, and for the first time, Cyprus. And then we're doing
Wow,
four shows in Greece. So that's cool. And
that's
then we're
great.
doing a festival in Spain to finish it off. So that's going to be a nice little run. And
Very
then once
cool.
we've got that done, I think we've got a one-off festival in October in Ventura in California. And then Mark's going in, I think, to get his knee done. He's just been recovering from an ankle replacement, and the next one up is the knee. So eventually we hope to have him to be made completely out of metal. That's the idea. So it's a long process.
Yeah, I was thinking that he might end up being like the Terminator.
The ultimate
Yeah,
metal
he's getting
band.
there. He's getting there. Jeez.
So do you think you might do like a northeastern or type of like
Yeah, we're
small tour
looking
of
at
the States?
we just changed agents and stuff, so I'm waiting to get some info. We're looking for March, April. Is to do a United States tour, and we'll do the full, you know, it'll be like a full 35, 45 date deal. That's the way we like to go out, long and hard, as they say.
Wow.
And we usually start down in Florida and work our way through Texas, California, Northwest, back, you know,
Mhm.
Chicago, back road, and then finishing on the back end down the East Coast. So.
Yeah, I tell everybody there's a cool little club. It's been here for a while. Like when Jax disappeared, there's another club that kind of popped up around that time called Tally Ho, and it's a
Yeah,
cool club.
Leesburg. Yeah, it's a great little venue because it's like a theater stage, and it's not like, you know, 3,000 seats. It's maybe
Mhm.
200 or 300, but it's a
Yeah,
great atmosphere,
yeah,
and yeah, it's really cool.
yeah. I've seen
So
Ben
yeah,
and Eve
I'll be
there
pushing
and
to try and
Satan.
do that. That would be awesome. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that would be awesome. Um, I mean, just going back to Mark, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, you know, there was this incident that happened, you know, a long time ago where you guys were on hiatus and you know, he had a terrible accident and you guys came out with an album called Walk Through Fire. And I think when you guys started playing in Jackson in the mid to late 2000s, that you guys were kind of just getting back to it and playing locally. You know, I bought this is like a cool, like a silly little thing, but I bought this at the show. You know, a beer coolie and
Right,
walk
the
through
koozie.
fire,
Yeah.
beer koozie. But you know, it was one of those, you know, just about him being metal, but you know, it takes a lot of courage and strength to just to get back and to, you know, to go through what he did. And I've talked to Joe before. He's like, that's why you guys named it Walk Through Fire, because everything that you guys went through is pretty incredible.
Yeah,
You
he
know,
had the
maybe
accident
someone
in
needs to make a movie out of
2001.
it or something.
Yeah, he had the accident in 2001, and we actually
Mm,
got back out again, started playing in 2004, but he was in a
mm,
wheelchair. And actually remember we played Jack's, and we were playing a song of ours called Lambs to the Slaughter. And just after the guitar solo, he stopped where it's normally just the guitar riff. He stopped, threw up violently all over the stage, wiped his mouth, and then started playing again. It's like, oh God. And somebody
That's hardcore.
screamed out, "That's rock and roll."
Yeah, that's hardcore, man. That's rock and
And
roll.
that was difficult, you know, because it's like, is this it? He's going to be in a wheelchair now. And he fought his way back. The next year, we played a couple of shows with a huge leg brace he was wearing, and it got smaller and smaller.
Yeah, yeah. I
And he
remember that.
proved all the doctors wrong, because they categorically said he would never walk again. So it's pretty inspiring, actually.
Yeah, pretty amazing. I mean, and you guys really made some incredible albums, and the last one with Joe was that Extermination, and that's, you know, Joe would always give me like the promos and stuff, and that was like a really, you know, he was having some health issues. It's sad that he left, but he really went out on a high note on that
Oh,
Extermination.
absolutely. He's phenomenal on that album. And
Yeah.
he really is a huge part of that album. You know, we basically set a new working mantra on that, where all three of us did an awful lot of pre-production, and we spent an enormous amount of money. We brought them down to, I was living at Richmond, Virginia at the time, and we rented out a studio there, and we were in for like 2 or 3 weeks doing pre-production, getting the songs just right. And it paid dividends. It made a huge difference. And it's, you know, the way we've been working ever since, where before you would kind of do a lot of stuff on the fly, seat of your pants. We'll do that, but we're a lot more critical reviewing it afterwards. That's all, you know. So it's just like, is this part necessary, or is this part, could it be better, or could we change it, or, you know, would it work with a bossa nova beat, you know, something like that, you know.
Sure,
So
sure.
you try options, you try things out, and try and bring the best out of the song, you know.
Yeah, and around that time, you guys also came out because, you know, Kickstarter was like everyone was trying to rethink the music biz, and people were doing these Kickstarter things, and you guys came out with an album called Party Killers, which is all covers. I have a copy of that too, and it's a lot of fun. It's really fantastic. You guys only made it a limited run of those, but that's a lot of fun too, that album.
Yeah, well, that was part and parcel of that, because we were like, well, it's going to cost a huge part of the budget doing this pre-production, because, you know, rent a studio, bringing them two down, hotels, blah, blah, blah. And we came up with the idea, since, like you said, that was very much de rigueur at the time, the whole Kickstarter thing. Let's do this, and we'll do a covers album of fun stuff that influenced us when we were kids. You know, like most people, you had it was like the red singles vinyl. It was a little box, plastic box with a little lid, and you had all your singles you bought when you were a kid, you know. So it was,
Sure.
you know, Thin Lizzy, The Rocker, and David Bowie, and whatever, you know, T-Rex, Slade, all that stuff. So a
Sabbath.
lot of that went into it.
That's awesome. Well, I wanted to go back a little bit because, you know, you were basically there during the birth of the whole new wave of British heavy metal movement, and you guys are still around, you're still doing it, you haven't slowed down. And you know, just for the people out there that might not know, there's a bit of a legendary show, the Roseland Ballroom show, where it was Metallica and you guys and Anthrax, and basically everyone got signed that night. Like the A&R guys were there. Everybody was looking for the next big thing, and everybody got signed. You wanted to just, you know, talk about that a little bit and go through that a little bit?
Yeah, that was very a great show. We'd had that had been in the works for a while. We just toured, and I think we'd had Anthrax out with us. So the idea came up, let's do this show, you know, we'll play, we'll have Anthrax and Metallica open up at Roseland. And this was unheard of, because it was like a 3,500 capacity venue, and it was
Wow.
3 unsigned bands, and it was absolutely packed out.
Mhm.
So that made a little bit of a feeding frenzy with all the record companies coming down to check it out, and it was a very memorable night. Somebody tried to steal Mark's Telecaster off the stage, and they got as far as the door before they got caught. This was about 3 minutes before we went on, and as we'd already been in the dressing room all afternoon breaking up with our respective wives and girlfriends who'd come over from England specifically to do so, our heads weren't in the greatest position. So I proceeded to rip doors off the dressing rooms, trash the place and go freaking nuts. But it definitely inspired our performance that night, that's for sure.
Sure.
And there's photographs of that. I think the back cover of the Live at the Inferno album has a shot from the very end of that.
Yeah, I have it right here. Right.
Yep, that's it there with me just about getting pulled into the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Amazingly enough, I found on the internet the guy who took the photograph, Bob Leaf, has a web page. And there's a photograph that's about 3 seconds before that. And my brother's going like this, and there's a guitar in midair. It's brilliant.
That's awesome.
It's like, damn, if I saw that, that may have been on the back.
Metal magic.
Yeah.
So what was the lineup?
I'm not sure. Anthrax opened, Metallica played in the middle, and we closed.
Oh, you close. Oh, okay. You guys headlined the gig. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did everyone?
That was one of Metallica's worst shows by their own admission. They didn't go down great. They were playing. I think I'm not sure if they dragged out an acoustic guitar or not, but they did play Fade to Black, which was a big step forward for them, and wasn't as well received as it may have been by people with more blinkered attitudes. But hey, it was the first big step for them where they got signed by Elektra and moved forward from there. I just remember them being not in the greatest of spirits afterwards, for sure. There was a lot going on because I think they were breaking up with Johnny Z as the management, and there was a lot of stuff going on. But overall, it was a fantastic show.
Well, yeah, hindsight's 2020, and people are always, there was a lot of buzz about Metallica, young upstarts guys, basically taking nwobhm and making it faster, turning it on its head. So, like, I was going to ask you what your impression of them was, but you said that they had a bit of an off night. But you had played with them before, right?
Their first tour. What's that?
You had played with them before, right? Or was that the first time?
Yeah, their first tour was opening up for us the year before in 1983. So we did the States, and we got on with them like a house on fire. They were great, but they were like 4 or 5 years younger. So even though we were only in our mid-20s, we were like the old men, the elder statesmen. So
the geezers,
they watched. They've told me this to my face. They watched and they learned, and they said, how do we get from here to there? How do we do what they're doing? And they took it in, and they took it in from a lot of other people too. And, awesome, went and did their own thing. But that was like guerrilla warfare. It was 2 trucks, a 6-berth Winnebago, and 17 people. Do the math. There wasn't a lot of sleep going on that tour, And it was so disgusting in the RV. Half the time we just traveled in the back of the truck.
Right. Well, the thing is, I talked to Joe, and Metallica actually paid back a little bit to their, people that inspired them and their metal heroes. And he said one time you guys got to play with them in Brazil, like in front of like 70,000 people or something like that. Was that the biggest crowd you ever played with? Do you remember? You want to talk about that gig a little bit?
That's definitely the biggest crowd we ever played with. We were booking dates for 2014 in South America, and our agent said, "Are you still in touch with Lars?" I says, "Well, I can get in touch with him. Why?" He says, "Oh, they're touring South America. Why don't we see if we can get to open on one of the dates?" So I literally got in touch with my contact and said, "Ask Lars if we can open for them in Sao Paulo." And Lars said yes. Simple as that. Then I started getting weird phone calls in the middle of the night from Live Nation going, "Hello, is this a raven? What is a raven? I'd never heard of you before, blah, blah, blah," and all this nonsense. And there was another opening band who were very upset and were trying to sabotage it and all this other nonsense. But it worked out. We went there. We were treated like gold, and it was a phenomenal show for us. And we got to hang out with the guys for about half an hour before their show, which was great because it had been a long time since we'd done so. And actually, they did the same thing again 2 years ago now in Hollywood, Florida. There was a tribute show for John and Marcia Zazula that Metallica did at the Hard Rock, and they invited us to open on that. And that was fantastic. That was even better.
Awesome. But so when you're in front of 70,000 people, I mean, what was the energy like? What was that like?
Well, what was the craziest part was, they're like, you're playing whatever it was, 35 minutes. But Metallica are late. They're flying in from Buenos Aires, which was their base. They were flying to all the other countries from there. And they're delayed due to weather. Says, "We don't want you to go on now because it'll leave a big hole. So we'll just wait." And I'm like, "We could play a little longer." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, no problem." He said, "Well, I'll let you know." So eventually, Metallica are here, on you go. And all day, all they'd done is every hour played a 2-minute promo for the Metallica movie, Through the Never. They didn't play any music through the PA at all. They just played that advert and that was it. So it was quiet. And then the lights went down in a place I've never heard anything as loud in my life. The crowd went absolutely mental. That the show was finally starting. And we went out and it was great. But you could barely see because it's a stadium, and at night you can basically see lights at the top and see the first, 50, 60 rows, and that was about it. But you could hear them. You could certainly hear them. And we were playing, and I'm looking at the guy and he goes, "Yeah, you can go." And Coach James comes out, and James is videoing us with his phone, giving us the thumbs up. So we're like, "Oh, okay." So we did break the chain with all the jamming in, which was like 15 minutes extra, and nobody complained. So we were happy.
Awesome. Well, was it filmed or recorded or anything?
There's a video from the side of the stage of I think On and On and Break the Chain. That's up on the internet.
Oh, it wasn't like pro filmed or anything like that.
No, it wasn't pro film. This is a decent phone video from the side. The stuff from the front, which is awful, it's terrible quality. But the one from the side is pretty good, and you can actually hear everything, which is great.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking, maybe sometime in the future we could do a show called like the history of new wave of British heavy metal, since you've like been in there since the beginning. I mean, I'd have a compilation here. It's a neat compilation. All Hell Let Loose. You guys are on it. There's a million, 20 other bands on here, and it's just it's important, just for posterity. I tell people all the time, you write a book or that kind of thing. Everyone has so many amazing stories to tell, and it's important to get these stories told, and for all this stuff to get captured.
Oh, absolutely. I keep threatening to do that. A Japanese promoter wanted some war stories, and I ended up writing what was about 3 or 4 chapters of what would have been a book. And I was like, yeah, I could do this, definitely. But it's just priorities. I've just been prioritizing writing new music. So at some point, he'll get back into that. But you're right, it needs to be put down. It's there's a lot of entertaining stories, and you know, and it's good to set the record straight on some things too. I mean, I remember, you know, when you guys opened for Metallica, I'm like, let me get that right. They opened for us. Thank you very much. Okay.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm curious because
Things turned overnight almost. Their fortune.
I'm curious because when you were out in Australia last year, you were celebrating 50 years of Raven. Although I understand that it was before the band actually started playing live. Do you remember your first show?
Oh yeah. That was at our school in Newcastle, Slatyford Comprehensive School, in the drama theatre. There was me, my brother Mark, Paul Bowden, who started the band with us, and a kid called Paul Sheriff, who played drums. And this was an octagonal building, 8-sided, that was 2 stories, a theatre at the top, and all the music rooms at the bottom. So the music rooms were the dressing rooms. And I remember walking to the top of the stairs, tripping and falling all the way down the stairs before we went on. So I nearly broke my neck going on. And when we walked on stage, Paul Bowden, the other guitar player, walked off the stage into the crowd because he didn't see the end of the stage in the dock. Not very auspicious, but we played 3 or 4 originals and played cover tunes by AC/DC, Queen, Uriah Heep, whatever, and threw all our guitars round and knocked our amplifiers over at the end, much to the consternation of the teachers who were chaperoning everybody.
And what was the
Starting a
response of the-
tradition that will never end.
And what was the response that you got? Apart from that, the smirks of the
They
teachers?
liked it, and for me it was a revelation because I was quite a quiet kid, you know. Wouldn't say boo to a goose. Would turn red quickly, and once I got on stage, I felt incredibly comfortable. So you know, everyone gets nerves a little bit beforehand, but once you get on, it's like, this is my place. I'm in control. Yeah, this is cool, and it really, it just set the scene for what we wanted to do. It just kind of underlined it, like, yeah, this is what we were meant to do. This is what we like.
And who were the big influences, like going into that first show in terms of bands or frontmen and so forth?
We had so many. Status Quo were a huge influence. I mean, initially, just to form a band, Status Quo and Slade and Sweet and Gary Glitter and T-Rex, and then older people would say, well, check out Deep Purple and Wishbone Ash and Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. So we were listening, and as soon as we were able to go to the local big rock club and that, we'd go see all the bands. So, you know, UFO and Rory Gallagher and basically you name it, we tried to see just about everybody and soak it all in and took a little bit of it all from all of them. And what we really took in is, like, we liked the exciting songs, the faster songs. So when we were playing the local pubs and clubs where other bands would be doing, okay, here's a Deep Purple song, what do you think they were going to play? Smoke on the Water. But we'd play Highway Star. If they were doing Montrose, they'd play Rock Candy, but we'd play Space Station Number 5. So it was always the harder, faster songs, and that soaked into, you know, us developing our own style from that.
So what year was that show? Just curious.
That show was in December 1975.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Way early.
Oh yeah. Beyond early. I mean, I don't know how we had the balls to do the show, because I have a cassette tape of us rehearsing them, our house's front room from about 7 months earlier, and it's horrendous. But you know, we had quite a progression. I think we got halfway decent by then.
And were there any photos from that gig? From your
There's
first
no
show?
photos from that gig. I believe my ex-wife, my first wife, still has a poster from either the first gig or the second gig. But that's it. No photos. I have an audio tape of the third gig we ever did, which was in 1976. And that's a very interesting point. I think we have some photographs, maybe from that. Yeah, I think from that we got them, because I can see
You have
us
to put it in
playing
the book.
homemade speaker cabinets and all that. Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll be for the book for sure.
Yeah. So, he was talking about influences. How did you like bass player wise? Who was your big influence?
Gary Thane from Uriah Heep, Andy
Okay.
Fraser from Free, Ronnie Lane from The Faces, John Entwistle, Chris Squire, Greg Lake.
I see the shirt.
Go on, go on, go on. Martin Turner, Wishbone Ash,
Yeah,
all those
very
guys.
cool.
And do you ever play
And
with the
it was amazing because all those players were they all had a good melodic sense. They weren't just bum, 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 and they'd be playing counterpoints and musically adding something to the equation, which was very important, you know.
And do you ever play with a pick? Because the only times I've seen you live, it's you play with your fingers.
I play with my fingers. I've been doing demos without a pick here, and my fingers destroyed because I do a fake pick, and it's hurting like hell at the minute. I'm useless with a pick. I'm not very good with it, but I play with a little bit of nail. So when I'm doing something like this, I can go, and that'll imitate about 90% of the stuff a pick player could do. That with a little bit of left-hand maintenance. So it's a challenge, but it's I spent an awful lot of time over the years working on playing clean and bringing the notes out and not all the clickety-clack rubbish, you know.
Right. Well, we always have a couple of fun questions that we ask, but just recently, Sabbath is like wrapping up their career. They just did their final show. Did you catch that or have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised because I thought it was going to be a bit of a train wreck. And I think a lot of the performances were really good. And the other thing it showcased in a strange way, kind of like the Freddie Mercury tribute did. The Freddie Mercury tribute showed what an amazing singer he was and how most people weren't fit to lick his boots. A lot of people had difficulty singing the Black Sabbath stuff because,
Yeah.
Ozzy has an iconic voice, and especially on that early material, it's hard for a lot of people to try and emulate that, you know. So there was a few people crashed and burned on that, I think.
I mean, it was tough seeing him in that chair, but then when he started to sing, I was like, holy shit, he can still do it. I was amazed.
Yeah,
really
I think
amazed.
with his health problems, for him to perform like that was astounding. And even though there's all this talk of it being auto-tuned and the 2 hours between and all that, you know what? Even if it sounded like, I mean, just the effort that he put into trying was appreciated by everybody, I think, because whatever he did live was obviously what the people heard there, and they responded in kind, and an awful lot of love for Ozzy. You know, he's very genuine, always has
God
been.
bless Ozzy. Yeah.
But
Well,
it was very emotional. I mean, that music, it's the soundtrack of our life. I mean, like many kids, we sat around one of those little windy up record players, so the lid was the speakers, and you put it on, and you heard the rainstorm, and then the bell, and then and the hairs went up on the back of your neck, and you were like, "Oh my God!" scared to
Yeah.
death. Yeah. I mean, that's intense, you know?
That's the real stuff, man. That's the magic. That's
Yeah,
powerful magic, man. Powerful magic. Um,
absolutely.
well, speaking of magic, we're big fans of Motorhead and Lemmy, so we always like to ask anybody if they have any Lemmy stories, any funny Lemmy stories or Motorhead stories.
Well, I've had one I've told 1,000 times. I guess I can tell again. It's a good one.
Okay.
Uh, we played with Motorhead quite a few times. We did a couple of shows on the Iron Fist tour, which was the first time we met them. And then on that tour where we had Metallica out with us, we were up in Buffalo, New York, and we hopped on a Motorhead gig. So it was Motorhead, Raven, and Metallica.
Hmm.
And the promoter was a gentleman called Harvey Weinstein.
The
Okay.
Harvey
I know
Weinstein,
that
yeah.
name.
I only found that out last year and saw that it's at a Harvey blah blah Productions. Like, whoa. So that was where he got his start. Don't blame us.
Hmm.
So we're playing this show and there's all kinds of argy-bargy going on. Lemmy's reading a joke book all day to everybody, making everyone laugh. Brian Robertson's drunk with very red hair and very pink shorts. And do the
Hmm.
show. We watched them, and at the end, the dressing room was the kitchen for this huge club kitchen, and they have a walk-in freezer. So at the end of the night, we're all packed up, and you go to do the idiot check, you know, see that nobody's left anything behind. So go into the dressing room, the freezer door opens, and there's Lemmy with a box of pita bread. Yeah, pita bread written on it. And me and my brother are looking at him going, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, you know, you've got to steal something, haven't you?" And he walks away with it.
There wasn't anything worth the shit stealing, so he sold the pita bread, huh?
He stole the pita bread, yeah. My other favorite Lemmy quote is, "You can't have it all. Where would you put it?"
That's right. Where'd you put it? That's awesome, man. Um, we have another fun question we just like to ask everybody. It's called the writer question. What's the craziest writer or weirdest writer you've ever seen make from, your band or someone else's band?
The craziest ride I've ever seen was for Jennifer Lopez.
Okay.
Doing some kind of personal appearance where she wanted an entire floor of the hotel, and they had to be this kind of sheets, and they had to be brand new, and it went on and on and on. It was just like, it was basically what we would call in our part of the business in like an FU answer, you know, because it's like no one in their right mind was going to match this rider. There's no way on God's earth. It was retarded. We all riders, it's always been pretty minimal. We've never, you know, like we want drinks, we want food, we want towels, we want water. Boom. You know, somewhere to
Well, so
shower.
so were you in the same hotel as Jennifer Lopez? Is
No,
that how
that was
you?
somebody that we knew that worked in promotion in Manhattan who got a hold of a copy and let us see it. And it was
Oh,
quite an
okay.
eye opener, yeah. And that was a
Okay.
long time ago. Jeez, yeah.
Oh, it's probably much worse now because you hear about the brown the Van
The
Halen
brown
brown
M&M
M&Ms
thing, yeah.
thing.
Well, it's
So
that I think one of the few times we ran into that was the second full tour we did in America, which was with Anthrax opening. It was their first tour, and we go up into Canada, and their singer at the time, this gentleman Neil Turbin, was a little off there, and he had all these vitamins individually wrapped in silver foil. So when the customs people in Canada saw this, it was just like, "Okay, boys, step out of the bus, bring all your luggage with you." And then, 3.5 hours later, Everything but the slow, deep, and hard with the rubber gloves, you know, everything but that. So we get to the venue in Quebec, and we're like 4 or 5 hours late. The place is packed, but we get there and realize they didn't read the rider. There's not enough amperage and the power to power the lights we have. There's a pole in the middle of the stage, and we had a drum riser that was specially built for Rob's kit at the time, and it had the rototoms. It was on a rack. It was couldn't break it down. We would have had to use Charlie's kit to play, and so that arguing and trying to get this all together, and a tour manager says, "Okay, so how about some drinks for the guys?" No drinks. No drinks. No food either. No drinks. No, you guys are late. No, nothing. So tour manager said, no gig. See you. Bye. So we packed up and we left, and we moved to Beverly. And for the next 4 or 5 years, that haunted us because the promoter sued us for bar profits and stopped Anthrax when on their next tour when they went into Canada, and impounded all their equipment and fined them all kinds of money. And then a couple of years later, we were with, I think, Wasp, and it happened to us. And same thing happened. I ended up getting all this paperwork in the mail in French, indecipherable, but a bunch of nonsense. So, yeah, that took a long time to get over. So that was somebody not reading the rider and then beating us over the head with it.
Oh, geez. Wow.
So
Yeah, man, I was
going to say, are you guys still persona non grata in Canada, or you can go back?
Oh, no, that was just that one idiot promoter. It was taken care of. And we played a bunch of gigs in Canada last year that were the best we've ever done. It was awesome. It was so much fun. It was great.
Well, I was thinking more like, I don't know if you guys ever played with Venom or not, but those guys supposedly were like, notorious like party animal freaks. So that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's
Well, I know them very well because on our first 2 albums, the tape operator was the bass player, Kronos, or Conrad, as his real name is. That's how he ended up, bothering the guy at the studio. Can my band make a record? Can my band make a record? Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they went out of their way to be destructive and crazy, for sure.
right.
I understand. I was going to say, I understand Kronos is like 12th or 120th in line of the British throne or something like that. Did he ever play that up?
Sounds about as plausible as the fact that the first bass guitar he had used to belong to Andy Fraser from Free. So I would treat that with a large grain of salt, for sure. But there again, you are talking about England. And if you go far enough back in ancestry, everybody's related to everybody. So
that's right. Steve Oz is related to Tolkien.
What's that?
He's related to Tolkien somehow. Steve is.
Is he one of the orcs or the dwarfs or something? I don't know.
Heir to Rivendell.
Hopefully not Gollum.
You're like 20th cousin or something like that, he said.
Yeah, it could happen, Like I said, it's the gene pool is a little shallow. So we're all related to somebody eventually,
We have a new question we've been asking with like the explosion of AI on the scene. We've been asking a lot of the people, like old school people, or did anybody, their thoughts on the emergence of this tool, this technology, and you can say, be honest, you can say that no holds barred. I mean, this is it's not a rated G show, so you can tell us how you really feel about it.
Well, it's obviously as far as an application for the kind of thing we're doing, it's bullshit because it takes away the human element and the creative element. And without that, what have you got? You've got, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. You know, it's ludicrous. It's just wrong. As far as its application in other fields, I mean, you know, hey AI, you know, write me a memo to send to the bank on blah 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 blah. Yeah, great, whatever, you know. But for writing lyrics in it, it's scary. I saw a video of a guy going, you know, Chat GPT, write me some dystopian lyrics in the style of Muse. And boom, it was there. He came up with a couple of riffs and it was a new Muse song. It was just, that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's just wrong, you know. I don't get it.
I call it, to me, it's a kind of heresy. It's a kind of blasphemy. I mean, and you can get spiritual about it, or, you know, if you want, but it's like, you know, it loses the soul. There's no soul in it. There's no humanity in it.
And we've been dealing for years with people just ripping off other bands. I mean, how many bands try to steal AC/DC and made a lot of money doing it? But
at least they're human beings.
But also never approached, never copied it exactly. Impossible, you know? But I think using the AI thing, you probably could clone it. And for what? You know, it's already been done and done the best it possibly could. Do something else, you know? And, you know, there is originality out there, but there's also an enormous, just innumerable amount of music acts out there trying to do stuff. And unfortunately, most of it's just parasitic, or it just clones stuff you've heard a million times. But, you know, you try to look for the best in things, and there is good music out there done for the right reasons. So when something like this comes along, it really sticks in the craw. You know, it's not good.
Yeah. And apart from getting out and playing live shows, how are you able to push Raven's music? Like, what do you see the most effective way to promote the band these days?
Usually at gunpoint. That usually works really well.
Especially in Florida.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I have to pull that out for you guys, just so it's on there. Wait. That was the. There it is. That's the EP, by the way. Can't take away the file. There you go.
It's good stuff.
But, yeah, I mean, it's times are changing. There's people I know, friends that are like, we're not going to take a label deal this time. We're going to try and just sell it ourselves. Because when you get right down to it, there's not a lot of record stores, especially in America. I mean, where I am here, there's a mall, there's one corporate store that has a very small amount of CDs, and there's Walmart, which has a tiny amount of CDs now. And that's probably going to be gone by next year. So the majority, if anyone's buying hard copies, they're buying it on Amazon or they're buying it at a gig. And everything else is the dreaded Satan Spotify, which I loathe with every fiber of my being. I would not piss on them if they were drowning.
I've never used Spotify because I just think
me either. Luckily, I've never used it.
It's just the artists that are not the Uber artists. Just
I'm used to listening
they get peanuts. Even Weird Al Yankovic, I think there was a post he said he made $12 in a year off Spotify.
Someone who's making $12 out of Spotify has got an awful lot of streams, let me tell you. Just do the math. That's like 0.0007 per stream. So you're talking thousands upon thousands to I mean, famously, Peter Frampton went to Congress and said, I got paid from Spotify from the players of Frampton Comes Alive, and I got a check for like $800 or something. It's like, what? So, and it's an end run by the record companies and Spotify. The record companies will package up, here's our entire catalog, give us X dollars, boom, they got paid. They're happy. None of the artists got that. And then Spotify will pay a royalty, probably to the record company, and they pay this pittance to the artist, which is just wrong. And basically, it started as a pirate organization, Napster, and one of the guys who started Napster is the CEO of Spotify. So they just moved from prostitution, murder, and drugs into something more legit, slightly. It's like the mafia don with a three-piece suit going into Manhattan to work, you know?
Wow. Well, on that positive note,
the other thing as well is it's, it just plays into people's short attention spans. And there's people I know, I'll go over at their house, they're having a party or whatever, and, oh, what you playing? Oh, it's the Rock. What's that? Well, it's Spotify. I love this. It's great. And it's oral wallpaper. You don't know who the acts are. Maybe you'll recognize one or two, and it just denigrates everything. Which I hate that. I want to sit down and listen to Jimi Hendrix or somebody like that and give it my full attention. Background noise is just awful. Don't like it.
I got him. I always keep him around just in case.
Ah, yes. The governor. Good to have him there.
The governor. So do you have any last words for the fans out there?
Yes. Thank you for your support over these many, many, many years. It's gratefully received and absolutely appreciated. Like I said, Mark has had his ankle replaced, and after the last 10 years of playing gigs in abject agony, no one would know. That's how much of a trooper he is. He would come off stage and just crawl into a corner and die for about an hour before he'd get up and move. You would never know. And now he's, that's putting a smile on his face. He doesn't have to deal with that. He's got the knee problems, so he'll get them dealt with. So we're looking forward to Europe. We're looking forward to a nice United States tour in 2026 and a brand new album. So lots of stuff coming up.
Right on. Excellent.
And no doubt you guys are going to rock until you drop.
That's the plan.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it, damn you. That's what I was gonna. That's my line. You're gonna rock until you drop.
And then we'll rock a little longer while we're crawling. There you go.
There you go. Well, I just have one last thing to say, and that's remember, look to the stars, carry that torch of enlightenment, and strive to be a disciple of rock and roll in the Brotherhood of Orpheus. Peace.